Yes.
Hi everyone, it's Rose. Welcome back to my channel. And today I have two very special guests joining me today. Three. The one, the only. This is Rain Dove.
I, and my pronouns. For me, a pronoun is just a sound, and all I'm listening for in that sound is positivity. So use what you feel. Use what's convenient. I'm not trying to muddle your brain.
I'm Julie. I'm the owner of this dog, Oswin. You've probably seen her. Rose's roommate. And so I'm the person that sneaks away when Rose is filming.
Okay. So it started off when this one ordered a lunch of champagne. For lunch of grapes.
Well, I didn't know that we were having a lunch, so.
It was cute.
But, yeah.
I'd never met them before in my whole life, and they reached out to me on Instagram. And, in case you don't know, any person who ever writes to me on Instagram, I always respond.
Yeah,
always
respond to everyone. I always try to make that a point, too.
Done and done. So when you showed up today, I mean, you didn't just show up for me, you showed up for a whole community, and I really appreciated it. But then you showed up.
Nervous as could be.
Fucking hot as could be. And I was in the middle of doing a photo shoot for tomboyx.
Yeah. Tell us about tomboyx.
Okay, I have to do a shameless plug here. I'm just gonna put it out there. Okay,
they're a great company.
They started off with the name tomboyx, and I've told them that the name tomboyx can be limiting as far as people's identity. So now they've become a symbol, kind of like Prince, the equal X symbol, which is equal whatever X factor you are.
Equal.
X. They made this T-shirt, which is
awesome
Rise
T-shirt.
Up. They made this bra.
Hell yeah. Oh my god, it's a rainbow.
No matter your size, your sexual identity, your sexual organs, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as you want to wear it and you fit it, you're good. I
kind of also wanted to talk about androgyny versus transgender and our identities. Because I think that's really interesting because you have a super similar experience to what I have as a trans person, but you didn't come to that conclusion.
I was born with a vagina and tits, you know? And not that you need a vagina or tits to be deemed a woman, but society, the minute I popped out, deemed I was a woman because of that. And I don't want to change my body. I just want to change the way the society treats somebody with my body.
That's great. I love that. Definitely.
I don't believe that gender is a thing that exists scientifically. However, societally it does exist, and I understand that people want to exist within certain confined realms, and therefore they can identify with a gender that reflects a realm that they want to live in, and I respect that. I believe I hit all spectrum of gender, and therefore I am transgender across the gender, right? But then again, since I don't believe that gender exists on a scientific level, I feel like I can't identify with transgender. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's fair. If it's not who you are, that's not what makes sense. That's totally fair.
I get to have the trans experience, but I'm not trans. But I feel like a lot of people look to me for advisement as far as how to treat people in the trans community or how it can elevate people. Even just a few months ago, I was in an article of the top 7 trans models in the world, but I'm not trans. And I had to write to these people and be I'm so flattered, but you should put someone in there who deserves it.
When I was born, the doctor looked at me and was so you have a penis, you are obviously a man, you're going to be raised to be a boy, your coach is going to tell you, you need to man up, you need to learn how to play baseball, you need to do this, you need to be a man. And it was so weird, when I got to college, when I was analyzing my identity, I was I'm an adult now, what the hell does that mean, who am I? And I was I'm not a man, I didn't grow up to be a man, that's not who I am, that makes no sense. I only had the language for the term gay, and that made sense. And the gay that I saw on TV, the gay that I was finally exposed to on YouTube and social media and different things while I grew up, they were always effeminate. And so I was oh, that's what gay is, that's who I am. That makes so much sense.
I mean, I feel language is such an unfair thing because we're born into it, right? And it's a prison.
Completely.
And language is one of the first prisons we're born into. The first idea of who says mommy or who says daddy first, and dividing our parents in a binary realm and being referred to as it's a boy or it's a girl. I mean, there are so many rules. Language is it's like money, it's a blessing in a sense. It allows us to have universal trade, therefore universal thought. But it's also very limiting. And so
no,
it's
it's
like,
so limiting. Like when I was
so
growing up,
limiting.
I didn't have the language for the queer community at all. I learned what the term gay was by being bullied and called gay, like in preschool. And I had to go home and like ask my parents, what does this mean? And they're like, well, it's just like a bad word, like don't use it.
Yeah.
I thought that Stacey and Clinton were dating. I didn't know anything about the queer community.
What not to wear.
It was, yeah, what not to wear. Like, I thought that was like a thing.
Like in my situation, like it was about my education, and like I didn't understand that. I didn't have those terms.
I really firmly believe in the term I am I. And I think
that.
that like, you know, if we were meant to be comparative to each other, we would look more like ants, or like grains of sand on the beach. And even those things are different under a microscope. We're unique creatures. And the thing that makes us us is not our body. Our body is like a fungus that has grown around our awareness to help us access the access the world around us, like allowed us to like feel and see and hear, or whatever sense is available to you. You know what I mean?
Completely.
And it's not really a thing that's meant to define us. Bear with me. What if we were taught not that we were men and women, based off from our sexual characteristics, but that
or our attitudes, our behaviors.
You would understand you as a unique, functioning, non-comparable machine. You would have better mental health care because you would understand your wiring as a unique, functioning...
self-confidence would skyrocket. Right. Like,
massively.
especially like just knowing you as your individual self, and like not knowing like this like binary having to compare and contrast sort of idea.
Like, do I fit the normal? I think there should be a basic promise. I promise not to get in your way of food, shelter, water, physical safety. I mean, if we all had that basic promise, that's world peace. World peace isn't everyone thinking you're beautiful or like wanting to provide for you.
Also, it gives people the idea that they need to think that they're beautiful. Well, and that's not really an adjective that anybody really needs to have applied to them to have value.
That would require uniformism because like everyone has their own preferences.
It's not about the labels, it's about the limits.
Yeah.
Language, like the spoken language is going to cause us to limit things and label it, you know, like in a way, like, I mean, we limit it by creating a sound around it, and we label it by putting a sound around it. So it's like, we're going to label things, but it doesn't mean that we have to physically limit them. How can I be a better advocate for the trans community?
Thank you so much for all that you've done for our community, because like...
That's very nice.
I mean, that's part of why like I wanted to meet you so badly, and like why I've always been a fan of you.
How can I be the best advocate for the trans community possible?
I made a video about it actually, and I'm going to kind of reiterate some of those points.
Please do.
Because it's really simple. The first one I would say is to listen. There are so many trans voices out there. Like, when I was growing up, there were no resources. Like, I didn't know any trans people. I didn't know trans existed. Recently, there's so many people getting more and more famous in the trans community, and that's awesome. But I think it's important to listen to what they're saying. Everyone's experience is different, and like everyone's going to kind of tell you different things about how to help them and how to be respectful to them and their body and their labels.
How can I share my platform to make it so that like I'm not appropriating the trans community by like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
I am a person who doesn't believe that gender exists except for societally. I'm a person who believes that our bodies are individually functioning machines and that they're put together like a vehicle. And so even sex is something that I acknowledge on a scientific scale, but also think is like not really binary.
Going through college, like I was learning all of these new words and all of these new definitions, and I first really identified with non-binary. It was all about finding out who that I am person, like soul or whatever you want to call that. How do I experience this world? How do I want people to perceive me? How do I want people to identify me? And I knew that like I didn't feel comfortable in my body, and I knew that like people saw me incorrectly and they labeled me in ways that like made me just feel so wrong, and like it just didn't make sense at all. It just, I don't know, it's the only way I can describe it, is it just feeling wrong. It just became so important and so obvious that like nothing that I was saying, nothing that I was identifying with was making sense, and I needed to change it. Like I got to a point where like looking at my body in the mirror, like I couldn't recognize myself, like I didn't like what I saw. You know, sometimes labels are important to me just because like recognizing them matters, because like, you know, history matters, and it's important to call out like things that are wrong, and like when they have attacked you, and like when others have just made you feel othered or just less than. It's important to address that. And then there's also so much community in it, like the trans people that I've met, and like the community that I've met, like not only just here in where I live, like in Seattle, but it's like all over the world, like it's all through social media and like on different websites. Like that community matters, and like calling it something matters, and it's unifying.
We have to understand that like with language comes flexibility and compromise. It comes with like the idea of like, I will do my best to have positive intent and express to you how I'm feeling, and using this set of language and rules. However, I also understand that your reception of that may not be the same as my intent for you to receive. And therefore, I must hold positive intent that your reception comes with positive intent.
Gender is something that we made up, but like it's still something that like still matters to me. Like I know it's not real, and I know it would be better not to recognize it and for it to not matter.
It's kind of like what she writes for The Stranger, Ijeoma Olumu said. She said that like it's a social construct, but so is money. The thing that a lot of things are based off of. It's a thing that affects how things are perceived.
Definitely. Like I love what you're saying about the difference between the two terms, transgender and transsexual, because I really think I more identify with transsexual, even though I have to first point out that like the word transsexual can be very triggering to a lot of people.
A
lot of people don't like it. They don't identify with it. So I did, and I still do, experience dysphoria about my body. So that's kind of where it kind of like clicked, and I was like that makes sense. Like that's when I finally said it.
For instance, if I am I, and I tell you that the I that am I identifies as she, and you intentionally go out of your way not to identify me as she, and it's not for like some kind of like particular reason, it's literally just because that you don't feel like you need to, then you're not respecting the I that am I, and therefore you're at warfare with me.
I agree with what you're saying though. Like that's all that matters. Well, you're doing great things, and I'm glad we got to do great things together.
Yes!
Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. It's been truly a pleasure to have you, Rain.
Thank you for having me, and at such a late hour.
But it was wonderful to make a new friend, and seriously, I'm kind of honored.
To be my friend.
Yeah, you're blushing.
I am blushing. I mean, who would blush? You're absolutely stunning. You're wearing skinny jeans. Our elbows have touched like 62 times.
I know, no, that's like...
Feel it?
Yeah.
Wow. So cute. I like you.
So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and then I'll also post Rain Dove's social media links down below. Definitely go check her out. She makes really, really great videos. She models. You do everything. Alright, see you all in the next video.
Bye. I mean...